Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I'm the festival coordinator for the Fergus Scottish Festival. Today, we've gathered a few of our board members together at our fancy shed, which is Festival Weekend HQ, to ask them a couple of questions about their experiences at the festival. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come on in. Scotch Talk, take one. Tell us about your first experience at the Fergus Scottish Festival.
Well, I got introduced to Fergus in 2003 because I came to run one of the local companies and they sponsored the festival. So I figured, well, if they're going to sponsor it, it's got to be fun. I came up here, had a whale of a time. The next year I volunteered, and frankly, over the years, I've fallen in love and got more and more involved. It's been a great experience with a lot of great people. And the passion is for the volunteers is just great, and I love every minute of it.
Matthew, we hear your experience was a little foggier.
I do recall I wasn't coming for long. I was just coming to check it out. I want to say it was probably about 9 o'clock, 9:30. Pretty hard to come to the festival, 9 o'clock, 9:30 on a Friday or a Saturday night and say you're not going to stay long. So I woke up the next morning at about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning in someone's RV, who I'm grateful for. Otherwise, I would have been under a tree or someone else's RV. I don't know. I fell in love with it at that time. It was great.
Warren.
1922.
My first year here was 1985, and I did a heavy events school here. I think it was the Thursday and Friday of that week. Threw in the heavy events on the Saturday, and I think it was 1999 when I realized that there was something else here other than heavy events, and that was Beer Garden. And then in the 2000s somewhere, I realized that there was other, what they call pillars. I still don't know really about pillars, but I was just worried about the cabers, and
they're close to pillars.
I got sucked in that first year, and I haven't left since. So it's been a wonderful experience.
Deb, how about you?
Oh my gosh, very first Scottish festival, 1989. Graham and I were at the butcher shop at the Fergus Market, and the market was really actively involved with the BIA and decorating the chieftain's tent and decorating the towns. My husband's story is much better. Graham's first memory of the Scottish Festival came here with his mom and dad, 1964, and he got lost. And we have pictures of Victoria Park looking up Angus Street at our house. So is that not the coolest thing? Wow, long time ago.
Why don't you tell us what you've missed about the last 2 years?
The camaraderie. It's always been with the heavy events. We've pretty well looked after our own venue. We try to keep the site guy away as much as we can.
Site guy appreciates it.
And I think that's just because we know what's going on. I've had the same guys working with me for over 30 years. So I miss that almost week of having my good friends together, preparing for a party that we've done for so many years of our adult life.
Dave, what about you?
Warren hit it right on the head. It's that week prior to the festival is as much fun, although it's depends on the weather, as the actual festival itself. Just getting things going, getting your own venue set up, and going and checking what other people are doing. It's a lot of fun. And then the festival weekend comes. It's a blur as you get involved in the festival, but the whole thing is just meeting a lot of people year over year that you have a lot of fun with, and that's what it's all about.
Matthew, As not only a board member, but also our site manager, what have you missed the most?
Hands down, the washrooms. Absolutely the washrooms. That is, I miss that so much. You know, it is totally about everybody helping each other out. I'm typically the first one on the field, and that's about a week before showtime. So it's a different view, and then every walkie-talkie call.
Yeah.
Site
to the
washrooms.
I have to echo what they said. It's the people. It's the volunteers. It's our staff. It's our sponsors. It's the entertainers. It's our athletes. It's our dancers. You become family. We're one clan. And I feel like it's been my clan now for the last, 36, 37 years of my life. That's a big chunk of change. That's a big part of your life, when you think about it, and you think about the next generation. I think of what the festival has taught my kids, and the volunteering and support, building your community, and the great fun that everyone has. Those are all such fond memories. So yeah, you know what? Like the rest, it's the people.
Yeah.
The festival has achieved many milestones over the last many years. Can you tell us about a highlight for you?
Guinness Book of World Records was certainly a highlight for me. Well, that was the first time I ever turned a paper, and it was great school. You guys put on great school, and yeah, I never thought I could do it.
And recently the Red Hot Chili Peppers was a big highlight.
Yeah, for me, Great Big Sea and Jan Arden, and we raised between those two concerts almost $22,000 for cancer for John Allen. So that was
Awesome.
pretty cool.
Well, and of course the ongoing Diana Gabaldon Association has been.
Oh my gosh!
Been-
yes.
Before Outlander was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She grew up at our games.
she did.
Deep fried Mars bars.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Deep fried Mars bars.
Of course. Another
That was
highlight
the
was when we did the hearth lighting, and everyone decided to put all their torches in the hearth, and we had to run out there with a bunch of fire extinguishers and put it out.
One of my favorite stories was in the 80s, and I was a teenager, and so I wasn't invited.
Right.
So, anyways, I was one of the stage marshals on the side of the field when we used to do the mass bands, and everyone marched up from the Legion. So this was in Vic Park, and we had a special guest. We had a dignitary that arrived. I think it was Governor General, arrived by helicopter.
What year
So,
was this?
It was in the 80s.
Oh, the 80s.
In
Okay,
the
yeah, they had
80s.
helicopters. Just started.
When you were a teenager.
It was not by Stagecoach. So, and do you remember this? A helicopter comes in to land for the opening ceremonies and the mass bands, and Vic Park is filled, absolutely filled with people. And the helicopter comes in, and everybody's kilt goes right up. And
Nice.
virtually 90% of everyone that participated in the mass bands was commando.
Yeah.
That was a good visual. Sorry. That's one
We've,
of my
we've,
best
all,
memories.
we've all got to have some memories of 2012.
Oh my gosh.
But at
Yes.
that time, I was working in the sponsors tent, on the door of the sponsors tent. And it rained, and it rained, and it rained. And my recollection is standing about half calf deep as the water poured through the sponsors tent. And Bill Beattie and John Campbell are standing there with their whiskies saying, "We've got to get these finished first."
Let's talk about the impact that the pandemic has had.
Oh my gosh. Well, in 2 years ago, in 2019, we tried, no,
2020.
2020, We tried desperately to celebrate our 75th. We're doing it again this year. But yeah, next year will be our 77th.
Although this year is 75 2.021.
2.021.
Next year will be 77, continuous, which is, I think, very something to be proud of. We've had volunteers all the way through, running a festival for 77 years without a break. Our volunteers are a passionate bunch of people, most of them from this area, but I'm surprised how many come in from other areas all over Ontario. And they are a passionate bunch of individuals that spend an inordinate amount of time and energy to put together what I believe is the best festival in Canada. And without them, we would be absolutely lost. And I think we as a board can only thank them for the effort they put in and let them know that we deeply appreciate all the effort they do put in.
They're our lifeblood. That they're the festival.
Mm-hmm. What is our volunteer count?
Elizabeth can probably tell us that best.
Yeah, about 350.
350 volunteers for one weekend. Pretty impressive.
Now, they don't
all
all...
year.
Hey?
There are people who work all year.
Well, that's true too.
to
That's
create
yeah.
this festival, but on the weekend,
There
yeah,
is.
our count is at 350.
Yeah.
The not-for-profits and other volunteer organizations that use the Scottish Festival as a primary fundraiser for their own organization and their own advocacy, how they use our event as well. It's
Well,
such a win-win.
just think about the amount of community involvement we have, all the different locals that sponsor us, locals that we buy stuff from, and we try very hard to do the local stuff, the people that run some of our beer tent and our concessions and our tea tent and that sort of thing, all local people. That is all, to me, is what's so extraordinary about this festival. There's so much community involvement and so much in community pride, which I think seems to be building year over year. We normally get roughly around 22,000 people, patrons, competitors, performers, each year. We have done estimates which say that we impact the local tourist economy by about $3.5 million for the weekend. And on top of that, we have the impact of what we put into the local economy with respect to local non-profits and businesses that we employ or work with for the festival.
In light of the pandemic, let's talk about next year. What kind of changes can we expect in 2022?
Well, hopefully, I think the goal for us is to not impact their experience, but to make sure that they feel safe.
They're safe, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just make sure everybody feels comfortable. But again, we don't want to be in their faces and make it feel different, I don't think, than it has been before. But I mean, the reality is it's going to be a little different. But as long as people feel safe.
We've got to help them enjoy the experience in a new world.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then that means us making sure that they feel comfortable and they feel safe. And it's going to be a lot more preparation.
People have been cooped up for too long. I think there's going to be a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I do. I think there's going to be a lot of energy.
We're working on some big things to try and make sure it happens.
Yeah.
Should be
I think
quite a
competition will be pretty tremendous too, with the lack of competition that everybody has had. The dancers, the heavies, the bands, that everybody's been. There's a whole chapter of these people's lives that have disappeared. Like even you look at the Olympics and the people that qualified last year don't qualify this year. It's the same with the athletics here.
Yeah.
And for these guys to go 2 years without a competition, it's a pretty big deal. I think, and I believe the dancers will be the same way. The pipers, we heard the pipers earlier this evening practicing.
Yes.
You know, it's
They're dying to get going.
people are raring to go, and I think that it's next year's gonna explode.
It will be a
You
gathering like we've never seen. Fergus Scottish Festival, the pipes are calling.
And they did call this evening.
They did.
Thank you for joining us in the festival shed for Scotch Talk. We look forward to seeing you next year, so please save the date, August 12th to 14th, 2022, for the Fergus Scottish Festival and Highland Games. Until then, follow us on our website, sign up for our newsletter, and definitely check out our social media channels, where we will keep you up to date on all of the great happenings here at the festival. Until then, take care of yourself, be well, the pipes are calling, carry me home to Fergus in 2022.